It was in April 1838 when Charles Darwin, the man behind theory of evolution by natural selection himself, was about to get married. At this point, he was 29 years old and strived to live a life of meaning, and that included his mission of meaningful work as a naturalist. The marriage waiting for him, he wondered about whether going that path would be a good decision in regards to his bigger vision of meaningful work. As a result, Darwin took a pragmatic approach and made a list of pros and cons about getting married to his cousin Emma Wedgwood. On the pro-marry side, some of the advantages were children, constant companionship, charms of music and female chit-chat, and better than a dog anyhow. On the not-marry side, freedom to go where one likes, fatness and idleness, less money for books, perhaps my wife won't like London. This is certainly one solid and slightly entertaining example of how complex decision making can be supported. But before choosing a career, we have to look at a more serious problem first. Now, let's look at a person who is more relevant than Darwin for now, and that's you. Whenever it comes to choosing careers, you will sooner or later come across the following, let's call it, phenomenon. To achieve stellar success, the master key is to
you really want to be doing what you love doing.
So when you work on something, if you fall in love with it, that's a good sign.
People say you have to have a lot of passion for what you're doing, and it's totally true. And the reason is because it's so hard that if you don't, any rational person would give up.
You have probably heard that before on YouTube in motivational videos from legends, athletes, your idols. And even though that advice comes from a good place, there's a problem with it. While some people are fortunate enough to find what they love early on, let's assume most people, including you, aren't that fortunate. So how would you possibly follow your passion if you have no clue what it is or haven't made any significant process in that direction yet? How to pursue what you love when you don't even know what you like? Here's the weird part. Before providing you with a pragmatic, proven solution, let the following sink in. Not having found your passion is not the problem you're facing. For a top career, you don't need to find your passion in the first place. Elon Musk, publicly known for being passionate about engineering and space, started his career by providing online maps to newspapers. He then started a financial service provider company that merged to become PayPal, and only after that he got involved with Tesla and SpaceX even later. Even though no one should compare themselves to Elon, he's a great example of passion being crucial, but not the first thing to factor into your decision-making process about choosing careers. And assuming Arnold Schwarzenegger had a passion for acting and film, he chose bodybuilding as his passion leverage, and it seemed he had the fire to fall in love with something over and over again. Gary Vaynerchuk spent over a decade in the wine industry, but he kept transitioning towards his passion of being an entrepreneur in the media and internet industry, and pretty much anything he wanted to. By the way, Charles Darwin was a medical student even though his passion was natural history. That was before he got himself into exploring species, plants and animals, and eventually evolutionary biology. What do these people have in common? Whatever they chose or somehow got into, they excelled at it, or made sure to do their absolute best so they could go on and develop what they had in themselves as a passion in the first place. That being said, there's a way to solve your problem, by understanding how decision making works. It all starts with the wrong approach. When wanting to make a decision, especially regarding choosing a career or any professional move, you're trying to make the right decision. And that is an issue for a few reasons. Looking at some of the criteria that define a complex decision, we can see why most people's approach doesn't work. Choosing a career is a complex decision because you have various options and alternatives available, you lack context or have limited information about what you're essentially getting yourself into, and the outcome is very hard to predict. You have no reference points to choose from, thus you won't be able to significantly improve the quality of the decision. As you see, making the right decision doesn't seem quite doable unless you hit it by chance, which is very unlikely. So if you cannot make the right decision, what else would you do? The answer is, you first make a decision. stick to it, and eventually make that the right one. Also, being purely rational isn't enough either, because human beings factor in personal values, experience, and consequences a lot. So you need to work on developing your intuition and gather experience so you have a nice disposal of references for proper decision making. Let's elaborate on the specific solution now and approach this with a better strategy. Phase 1, the screening phase. To be specific, what shall you do until you found your passion? It's something that may sound counterintuitive, but go for multiple streams, have 2 careers. Anything you can learn and use to step up your success game, do it. Unless you pursue to be a top 1% mathematician, scientist, or athlete, you can and even should dedicate your efforts to more than one field. Because for most fields, you can speed up the learning curve, because in today's complex society, you require multiple skills at the same time anyway. Not having a clue about anything outside of your field isn't the best choice. Also, being in your 20s, you would have more cognitive power and energy than you can think of. Make sure to use it before it declines, because it will do so. Phase 2. One domain to dominate. Your goal is to find the sweet spot between something you're naturally better at than most people in your peer group and enjoy doing at the same time. To get to that point, do as many things as possible, even if they make you uncomfortable at times. Then you put all your efforts on becoming as good as you possibly can to achieve success in one domain. You may be wondering, what if I want to switch careers later on? What if I see my long-term success in something else? The answer is, it doesn't matter, because leveraging one field to success will ultimately allow you to do so many other things and change fields more easily. Why is that possible? Because people outside of your field won't be in the position to assess your market value based on the know-how in your field anyway. Instead, they will look at the general traits and outputs to determine whether you're successful or not. The result? Those people, let's call them winners, will attribute you certain traits and categorize you as a person of market value and success or not. If the outcome is positive, you have successfully entered a new field, all based on you having successfully leveraged your initial career. The conclusion. Applying the strategy, you're either lucky enough to find your passion on the way of doing multiple things, keeping up the productive value and output, or you transition to your passion project after having leveraged your one dominant field. Coming back to Schwarzenegger, fortunately, human beings are capable of falling in love with something or someone multiple times. And that's a very good reason to never feel stuck in any career you may choose, as long as you do something. Applying all that will increase the probability of ending up with something you genuinely excel at and love to do.